Okay, let me start. So the self-organizing map, it works based on the principle of the competitive learning, and that is unsupervised learning. Now, once again, you come back to this particular the figure. Okay. Now, as I told, there are two layers: input layer and competition layer. Now, on the input layer, we have got the higher dimensional data, say 10 dimension. Okay. And on the competition layer, we have got either 2 dimension or 3 dimension. So from this 10 dimension, I want to map it to the either 2 dimension or 3 dimension for the purpose of visualization. Okay. Now, how to do this particular the mapping? Now, here I just want to tell you that all the textbook, all the research papers, including my own textbook, will be using a similar type of your picture. But this picture is going to mislead you like anything. Okay. The way I was misled by all the available literature, and I personally spent a lot of time on thinking how to implement the computer program. Okay. Now, for the time being, you assume that this competition layer is not there at all in the drawing. Okay. And what I do, our aim is to determine the lower dimensional data corresponding to this higher dimensional data. Okay. So out of say 1000 data or capital N data, let me concentrate on a particular data, the ith data that is represented by ith neuron. Okay. And I'll try to find out how to map it to the 2 dimension or 3 dimension. But truly speaking, let me repeat. So this particular competition layer and the neurons lying on the competition layer are not there initially. So what I do is I want to do the mapping from higher dimension to lower dimension. So what I do is corresponding to each data point, the ith data point, okay, I generate some connecting words at random. Okay. So what I do is corresponding to this ith neuron in higher dimension, I want to find out its corresponding representative on the competition layer. So what we do, we generate a large number of connecting words, might be 1000 connecting words at random. Okay. So the connecting word between the ith neuron lying on the input layer and say the jth point, let me use the term point, is nothing but your wji. Okay. Now let me just see that mathematical expression. Now I'm discussing the principle of competition. Okay. So we have got the xi data, I varies from 1 to capital N, and each data is having small m dimension, that is xi1, xi2 up to xim. Okay. I varies from 1 to up to capital N. Now, my aim is to find out the corresponding point in lower dimension. So what we do is we generate the synaptic weight between the input neuron I and the neuron J lying in the competition layer, that is WJI. So WJI is the connecting weight. Okay. And initially you assume that there is no neurons lying on the competition layer. Okay. So this Ji will have m dimension, that is Wj1I, comma Wj2I, and the last is Wjmi transpose. And J varies from 1 to up to N. So we have assumed that corresponding to a particular point, we are generating capital N number of your the connecting words using the random number generator. Now you come back to the figure. Try to understand. Corresponding to ith neuron, okay, to find out its corresponding mapping on the competition layer, I'm generating capital N number of connecting weights. And the connecting weights is having M dimension, and this input neuron is also having small m dimension. Now, if I have generated the connecting weight, can I not find out the Euclidean distance between the ith neuron lying on the input layer and your all the connecting weights? Answer is yes. Very simply, very easily we can find out the connecting weights, the Euclidean distance between the ith neuron and the connecting weights. So how many such numerical values will be there corresponding to ith data point lying on the input layer? Capital N number of Euclidean distances. I think I am clear to all of you. The Euclidean distance between the same ith point lying on the input layer and all capital N of connecting weights. So I can find out capital N number of Euclidean distance values. I hope I am clear to all of you. Now you compare. Try to find out the connecting weight which is closest to the input neuron I. Okay, how to find out? It is very simple. And the connecting weight which is found to be closest to the input point I, that is denoted by N. That is your small n. That is small n. So the distance between small n and xi, what is xi? Ith data point lying on the input layer, and n is what? That particular connecting weight corresponding to which the Euclidean distance is found to be the minimum. That means the closest point, the closest connecting weight to the input data point, that is the ith data point. So that is your that is declared as winner. That is the winning point or the winning neuron or the winning connecting weight. That is the purpose of competition. For any competition, our aim is to declare the winner. So the connecting weight, which is found to be closest to the input neuron xi, is declared as the winning connecting weight. I think I'm clear to all of you. So once you have declared that winner, your competition is over. Now, once you've got that particular competition, the next is cooperation. Please try to understand very carefully. What is the cooperation? So through this particular the competition, the winner has been declared. Now remember one thing, whether you believe me or not, all the professors who are working at say IIT Kharagpur, they are all winners. Okay, they have struggled a lot and they have reached a particular level. Okay, so there is a lot of struggle, lot of hard work through which your professors have come to that particular the level. So all of them are winner. Okay, now if you declare your professor is winner, surrounding that particular professor, there will be some PhD student, MTech student, BTech student. For example, I've got a very large number of students. Okay. Now, surrounding me, I've got a very large number of students. Okay. Now, those students are selected for what? That the students, the surrounding students are selected for cooperation. Okay. So, we professor, we try to cooperate with the students. The students are also cooperating with the professor. Okay. And through this particular cooperation, both the professor as well as the students are going to learn a lot. So don't change the PPT frequently. You are not cooperating with me. I need cooperation. Are you getting my point? And through this particular cooperation, okay, you will be learning a lot. I'll also be learning. Don't think that while teaching, I'm not learning. I'm also learning. New examples are coming to my mind. Okay, if I do not teach all such things will not be coming. Those examples are coming online to my mind. And that is why I'm able to take a very practical example. Don't think these are all pre-planned examples. The way while teaching, some online examples are coming to my mind that I'm going to throw it to you. Okay. Now, surrounding that particular professor, okay, there are a large number of students. So professor is the cluster center. He is the winner. He is the leader. And you people are the followers. Okay. And through this particular process, don't think that you people are gaining. Professor is also gaining. As I mentioned several times, I have learned many things from my students. Might be more than what I've learned from my teachers. I've learned because I'm in the profession for 30 years. This is my 30th year running as a teacher. So I've learned many things from my students. Okay. So this I always acknowledge that I've learned many things from my students through this particular cooperation and interaction. Now let us see the principle of this particular cooperation. It is a very interesting thing. Okay. So surrounding a winning neuron, that is a professor, a neighborhood of excited neuron is defined for cooperation in order to update their synaptic weights. Okay. Now, how to define that particular neighborhood? To define the neighborhood, we take the help of Gaussian distribution. So Hjnxi tth iteration is exponential minus djnxi square divided by 2 sigma t square. What does it mean? It means that to define the surrounding of mine, I'm just going to construct one Gaussian distribution surrounding me, and my property is a mean property. And surrounding me, there are some students. Okay, how to find out that particular surrounding is this particular equation. What is djnxi? The lateral distance between the winning neuron and excited neuron. Some of the students are very close to the professor. Okay. Some of the students, those who do not work, they always try to maintain a distance from the professor. I'm telling all the facts. Okay. And those who are really working hard, they will try to come closer to the professor. And reverse is the situation if you people are not working. You always try to avoid the professor. Okay, because the lateral distance between your professor and you is more because you are not working. Okay, that is what is mean by djnxi. Now, another very important thing which I'm going to tell you, that is sigma t. That is the standard deviation at tth iteration. Okay, now this standard deviation is not kept fixed. It will be considered as a variable. I'll tell you the reason. Sigma t, that is the standard deviation at tth iteration, is nothing but sigma naught exponential minus t divided by tau. What is tau? Tau is a predefined number of maximum iteration. What is sigma naught? That is the initial value of standard deviation. That is the initial value that is proposed by the user. Now, as t increases, what will happen? The sigma t is going to be reduced. You can see that because this is sigma naught divided by exponential t divided by tau. So if t increases, what will happen to the exponential value? It is going to increase because tau is kept constant. Okay. And if this particular exponential term increases, what will happen to sigma t? It is going to be reduced. Okay. So with the number of iterations, the sigma t is going to be reduced. Okay. And we are copying a very practical example. See, now I'm 50 plus. Now, when I was very young, so I used to handle even more number of students. Okay, there was a time I can remember when I used to handle about 50 students at a time, like PhD students, MTech students, and BTech, BTP. Okay. So 50 students at a time, 10, 15 intern students. So there was a time when I used to handle. Okay. Now with age, I may not be able to handle so many students. So my sigma t is going to be reduced. It is true for everybody. Okay. So sigma t, that is the standard deviation. Initially, it will have high value with the number of iteration, with the number of years. Okay. So sigma t is to be reduced. So initially, I had a very large sigma t, and gradually sigma t is going to be reduced, going to be reduced. Are you getting my point? So what will happen after a few iterations? The sigma t is going to be reduced. Okay. So the professor may not be able to take even 20 students due to age effect and others. That may happen. Okay. Now through this interaction, we are learning. Okay. Now let me take another very popular example which suddenly came to my mind. Say Professor X is working in one small institute, say in India. Okay. Same Professor X, after a few years, got the opportunity to serve in another, say, better institute. Same Professor X, after a few years, got the opportunity to work in the world's best institute. Same Professor X. Okay. Now you tell me, when Professor X was in a smaller institute where research facilities were not available, and the moment he is switching to a better institute in our country, or the moment he is switching over to the best institute in the world, okay, in which case you are expecting the best performance. Definitely, whenever he is going to join the same person, whenever he is going to join to the best institute in the universe, because there is every possibility that surrounding will be much better compared to whenever he was working in one small institute. Okay. Now, if you get a very good surrounding, outcome is bound to come. Are you getting my point? And there will be lot of instruction, lot of cooperation, lot of transfer of knowledge, and gradually your professor is also going to learn a lot, and he'll be able to contribute a lot to the field. Are you getting my point? So this is actually the principle of the cooperation. So if the Professor X is working in the best institute in the world, and if he can publish the 30 or 40 research papers, very good quality research paper per year, the same professor, if he put it to an institute having less facilities, okay, he may not be able to publish even 5 papers. This is fact. Whether you believe it or not, this is fact. This is because we use the principle of cooperation. So my request is, try to cooperate with your professor. Okay, whether you are working with me or others, and try to learn the things. So you'll be getting the things from the professor. Professor will also learn from you. It is not a one-way process. And don't think that you are servant, we are master. We are all good friends. Teacher and student relationship is a very noble relationship. It is not like master and servant. I do not believe it. Okay. So try to utilize and try to update yourself so that you can perform well in future. Okay. This is the principle of cooperation. Now, based on this particular cooperation, both the teachers as well as the students are going to update their knowledge. How to update? It is very simple. WJIT plus 1 is nothing but WJIT, that is the previous iteration, plus eta t. that is the learning rate, multiplied by hjnxi, that is the distance. Based on distance, that neighborhood function is hjnxit multiplied by xi minus wjit. That is the difference between the input neuron and that particular your connecting weight. So we are going to update. Both the teachers as well as the students are going to be updated. Are you getting my point? And through this particular updating, so what will happen? We will be getting better and better information. Okay, let me take another very practical example, which I'm going to share with you. Suddenly it came to my mind. This soft computing course, when I joined this institute in 2003, 1st January, okay, there was a course. It has got one component, that was a lab component. All the algorithms which I am discussing now, which I put in my textbook, which I have kept in my NPTEL lectures, all the algorithms, all the programmings were developed in that particular lab. So it was 2 hours lab. The whole 2 hours I used to sit with all the students. Okay. And this lab class I used to organize in our simulation lab in the mechanical engineering department. Okay. After the syllabus was changed, that lab component was removed. Are you getting my point? But I still remember in the lab class, I used to teach them how to write down the program. They also used to give me the feedback. There was a lot of discussion, and through this discussion and with the help of my PhD student, MTech student and BTP students, okay, lot of discussion, lot of success, lot of failure, all the algorithms we could develop. Why I'm telling? Because I also learned from my students, like how to design and develop all the programs related to the algorithms, which I could put in the textbook. And after the successful implementation of all the algorithms, I could publish the first version of the soft computing book in 2007, November or December. After that, you might be knowing, it was translated in some foreign language also. Then I published the modified version also. Okay, but I give credit to my students. Okay, without using that particular lab facility for the course, the previous course, I might not have been, it might not be a possibility for me to write that particular textbook. Okay, so I always give credit to my students. Okay, now this final mapping, this is very important, and this is the way we could solve this particular problem. If you see the literature, they might have solved in different way, but this is the method which I proposed, and then we could solve this particular the mapping problem. Now you try to close your eyes and try to understand that we have got capital N number of data points on the input layer in higher dimension corresponding to a particular point, that is the ith data point. I'm able to find out what is the updated connecting weight. Now that process I'll have to repeat for how many times? Capital N times, because for each of the data points, okay, I want to find out its corresponding connecting weight. Supposing that I have got for all capital N data points, its corresponding the connecting weight. How to do the mapping in lower dimension? Okay, so I had a lot of thinking on this. Then I proposed this particular technique. It's very simple. So what I did, so from the origin in higher dimension, I can find out how much is the Euclidean distance of all the connecting weights. Okay, how many connecting weights? Capital N number of connecting weights. So how many such Euclidean distances are possible? There are capital N number of Euclidean distances from the origin. Okay. Now you sort them in the ascending order. of their Euclidean distances. So the point, the connecting weight, which is having the minimum value of Euclidean distance, you consider first, and the connecting weight, which is too far, that is the furthest from the origin, you put at the end. And that particular Euclidean distance value, by following a scale, you draw all such circular scales or circular arcs. For example, say C1, C2, C3, C4 up to Cn. You can see that. So this particular thing is what? This is actually, it is representing the Euclidean distance from the origin to the closest connecting weight. Okay. So I'm getting this C1, C2 up to Cn. So I'll be getting all such circular arcs. Okay. And once you've got the circular arcs, so you concentrate on the first circular arc, that is C1. There are infinite number of points who could be a possible solution corresponding to the connecting weight which is closest. Okay. So on this particular circular arc, you take any point at random. So there are infinite number of numbers. You take any one. I'm taking this one. Okay. Now starting from here, I can find out, see, with respect to the origin, the closest connecting weight and the second closest connecting weight, I can find out the Euclidean distances. I can also find out the Euclidean distance between the first closest connecting weight and the second closest connecting weight. That particular Euclidean distance is nothing but this. And considering this P1 as the center, you draw another circular arc here. So you'll be getting this P2. Now you may argue that this is not the unit. You are right. It may not be the unit, but I'll be getting some feasible topology. For example, say, starting from P1, I can consider this intersection point. I can also find out another intersection point 1. Take any one. So I'm taking this. Next is you try to find out the Euclidean distance between the second closest connecting weight and the third closest connecting weight. Find out the Euclidean distance, draw the circular arc, get this particular point P3. Similarly, you get all the points. Once you've got the points, then only you are able to draw this particular your neurons on the competition layer. Are you getting my point? So initially there was no such neurons on the competition layer, and by following all such competition, cooperation, and updating, okay, at the end you are able to draw all such the neurons. So corresponding to all the points here, n number of points, you will be getting n number of neurons here lying on the competition layer, or the 2D or the 3D. Are you getting my point? So this is the way, very scientifically, from higher dimension, we can do the mapping to the lower dimension. But as I mentioned several times, this particular mapping cannot be the 1:1 mapping. There will be some error. Okay. Now I'll show you some results and you'll be astonished. These results were reported by us only. Okay, we solved a number of problems. For example, we consider the Schaeffer's F1, the test function 1. And if you see the expression y equals to 0.5 sine square root of summation I equals to 1 to d, sorry, 1 to 4 xi square minus 0.5 divided by 1.0 plus 0.001 summation I equals to 1 to 4 xi square. What is the dimension? I equals to 1 to 4. So this is in 5 dimensions. Nobody in the world can visualize more than 3 dimensions. Okay. And for the purpose of visualization, we generated a large number of data points, and those data points were mapped to 2D for the purpose of visualization. And very surprisingly, we got a very nice picture on the computer screen. All high dimensional data are mapped to the lower dimension, and these data points are well distributed. Are you getting my point? And this particular information we used in that visualized interactive genetic algorithm, which we proposed, in fact, even before, but that time we used some MATLAB programming sort of thing. Okay. So after that in 2004, once again, we made the program ready here. Okay. Although we did it in 2000, okay, using some MATLAB package sort of thing in Japan. Okay. But we redo in 2004 using C programming also. Okay, so we use C programming to develop this particular the program. Okay, and so this is the way from 5 dimension we got it in 2 dimension. Actually, this result is results we obtained using the C programming only. We did not use this MATLAB programming here. Okay, although in visualized interactive genetic algorithm, we took the help little bit of MATLAB. Okay, but this is done in C programming only. Now you can see all the data points are well distributed. Okay, and we can do the clustering, we can do data mining, we can help to visualize the higher dimensional data to lower dimension. We can also develop some input-output modeling tool that is called the counter propagation neural network. This time, as time is short, I'm not going to teach counter propagation network to soft computing students. Okay, as I told, first I'll finish the syllabus of soft computing. Okay, then some extra topic will be there for knowledge-based system. Let us see if time permits, we'll be discussing that counter propagation network there. Okay, now with this, actually, I'll have to stop because we have got a power cut here. There will be scheduled maintenance. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So already power cut has started. We got the notice today. There will be scheduled maintenance here for 1 hour. So I'll have to stop today. Okay. So we are going to meet on 28th after the puja vacation. Okay. So I wish you all the best for the puja. Okay. Enjoy your puja and be well. We are going to meet on 28th. Okay.
Thank you.
But
Thank you, sir.
2028, you'll have to submit that assignment. You'll be getting more time this time. Okay. But before I stop, let me see, might be a few minutes, it may work. If you have any doubt, please ask me. I'll try my level best to clear your doubts.
Sir?
Huh.
Sir, I just have one doubt in this SOM technique that you taught us today. Sir, for example, in the
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
hello, sir, I just got disconnected.
Okay. Hello.
Sir, hello.
Tell me. Tell me. Tell me, don't wait because there is a power cut. So anytime it will be disconnected. Tell me, there is a power cut here. Tell me.
Sir, in the input.
Huh. I am not getting. Somali Mitra, can you wait little bit? Somali Mitra, can you wait little bit? Who was that student who was?
Hello.
Tell me. Sampad Laha, tell me.
I was removed.
Tell me. Tell me.
Hello.
Sampad, tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, for example, there are some neurons in the input layer.
I'm not getting your point.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sir,
You do one thing. I do not know. There is some problem. You can send that query to my Gmail account. Okay. Whenever I'll get time, I'll try to give a reply to your query. Okay. My Gmail account is softcomputinglab@gmail.com. You send your query. softcomputinglab@gmail.com. Okay. Any other student? Any other query? Tell me, Sampath.
yes, sir. Sir, I was continuously being removed.
I do not know what is happening. Shall I?
So there might be some network error with his end.
Okay. So let me stop here today. Okay. If there is any doubt, you can send mail to my Gmail account, or we can discuss at the beginning of the class on 28th. Okay. So please remind me regarding your doubts. I'll try my level best to clear it at the beginning of the class on 28th October after the puja vacation. Okay. So let me stop here.